It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Welcome back to the Dagger Podcast. Alongside Hank Joseph, per usual. Hank, how are we doing today? How was your weekend? Halloween weekend?
Halloween weekend was really fun. We talked about it before the show. I am really sad to hear, as you are, about the passing of Takeoff, one of the members of the Migos, more formally known as YRN. Really, really sad. Personally, one of my favorite rappers, especially out of the city of Atlanta. So this one's for him.
Yeah, definitely some shocking news out of the rap world, hip-hop world. You know, every day it seems like someone new. It's heartbreaking. It's unbelievable. It's a cold world we live in.
Yeah,
it is. But
stop the violence, please, everybody.
On a happier note, a lot going on in the basketball world.
Is this a happier note?
Not really.
It's not.
It's
yeah. I mean,
relatively happier.
But obviously terrible.
Yeah.
I'll let you take this one.
So we all know Kyrie Irving very well, especially in the past few years. He's been making some controversial statements, and he's right back at it again. Right after the whole Kanye West incident with, I don't even want to get into it. If you don't know it already, then please look it up. But Kyrie Irving is actually promoting anti-Semitism.
Hey, he's not promoting, as he said. Didn't you hear he's not promoting it. He's just posting it on his Instagram story. What the hell does that mean?
He's promoting
the same exact thing.
He's promoting an anti-Semitic, video.
Film, actually. Yeah.
What is he thinking?
Well, obviously, Kyrie thinks that he is, I guess, what did we say back when Aristotle was on? Heliocentric. He thinks he's Kyrie-centric. He thinks that the world, like, literally revolves around him.
He thinks the world is flat.
Kyrie, after agreeing publicly with some of the things that Alex Jones has stated, and I mean, Alex Jones, that's a whole that could be a whole nother series of podcasts. There will be some in the near future, I'm sure. Doubled down on, basically what Kanye had done publicly, basically doubled down on this documentary with a lot of falsities, a lot of, not true testimonies, a lot of fake quotes, even includes a couple things from Adolf Hitler in there as well. Then when asked about it by ESPN reporter, he said, "I'm not promoting it. Why do you say I'm promoting it?" What did he say? He said, "You guys are dehumanizing me." How ironic.
Yeah.
How ironic Kyrie Irving's being dehumanized after what he promoted, And unfortunately, this isn't a Kyrie problem. This is very little talked about, but scattered throughout the NBA world.
Right.
A lot of these views. And, great to see Jaylen Brown coming out publicly apologizing for things that he didn't even do. Right. Kyrie doesn't have the urge or the, no withal or anything to even apologize for what he does. Right. He constantly acts like he's the straw man, like everybody's coming after him for what he does. And, he's vice president of the NBA PA.
Is he really?
Right? Yeah.
Kyrie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy? He's an elected vice president
of the
NBA PA.
Is the players?
The NBA. Players. Oh. It's the Players Association. So, I don't really know what the NBA does. They find people more for less. Joe Tsai, who has his own, problems with China and communism and what he supports over there.
Yeah, I don't want to get too political.
No, exactly. But, it's just the Nets. And they just, hey, why don't we talk about the news that just happened today? See you later, Steve Nash. It must all be your fault. I was going
to get to that,
yeah. It must be your fault, right? It's got to be Steve Nash's fault.
Yeah, there's been a lot of recent news with Steve Nash. He was just ejected a few nights ago. There's a lot going on there. Not really surprised. Was Steve Nash even doing a good job?
Was he doing a bad job? I mean, that's the thing.
Was he doing a job?
It's like, dude, like if an elephant runs away, I guess maybe the head of the circus gets fired. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what Steve Nash is running right now. He's running a circus. So I don't know how you can say anything's his fault. I mean, look what he did, last year when Kyrie played 40 games.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're just going to make him the scapegoat? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I think it's a terror. What does it matter? What does it matter what we think? Because the Nets are just in a revolving door of BS.
Yeah, with this Kyrie Irving incident, obviously, as a Jewish man, it hurts to hear that. Even if I wasn't Jewish, I think any individual with some common sense would be heard about this. Are you Jewish, Hank?
I'm not Jewish.
You're not Jewish. And are you heard about this?
I mean, I completely, stand with the Jewish community. I have a lot of friends that are. I mean, I don't think that it's right what he says.
No. I have no words,
Not
honestly.
to mention some of the stuff that's actually happened violently within the anti-Semitic world in this country in the last year. Kanye's comments were mind-boggling, and Kyrie doubling down is even, even more insane.
Yeah, and last night, we're recording this on November 1st, so last night, October 31st, at the Brooklyn Nets game, I can't recall who they were playing, but there was a few people sitting courtside with yarmulkes with shirts that said "Fight Anti-Semitism," and
I want to say that would be funny if it was
I think that's great. That's great, 100%. Kyrie obviously saw that. They're sitting courtside, even if he's not making eye contact with them. He saw that.
Yeah, they had the yarmulkes on. It was awesome. It was the Pacers.
Yep. Pacers.
Yep.
Okay. It sucks that they even have to do that. They shouldn't even have to promote. We're using the word promote a lot. Promote fighting anti-Semitism.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that they have to is just it's awful. But I mean, the world we live in now, I guess, do your thing, But let's move on to a happier note now.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers finally got their first win with their new head coach.
They did it.
So congrats to them. They're 1-5, I believe.
1-5, yeah.
Did we see this coming? Yeah. In a way, this is LeBron's worst. I think it was like his worst start
his
to
rookie year. 0-5. Yep.
I can't really say like LeBron's not the GOAT because of this. I thought of
We're
something.
really getting into the GOAT.
No,
what are we doing?
We're not,
Let's not get into that.
I just don't want people to think, because they're 0-5, he's not the greatest of all time.
No, let's not. We're not talking about that. We're talking about present day NBA basketball.
All right, so
okay, we don't do that here.
All right.
We don't do
Apologies.
speculation.
Speaking of the Los Angeles Lakers, Miles Turner, a lot of news going around with Miles Turner. He wants out of Indiana, but just to Los Angeles?
No. He said it would be a bad move if the Lakers didn't consider me or whatever. However he worded it.
Sounds like he just wants to go to LA.
Here's the thing. Well, why? Where else would? I mean, come on. They need a center clearly, but it's also like if you're the Lakers. You don't need any more big guys. You need shooters.
Yeah.
You need guys that can shoot the basketball that are not named Matt Ryan.
Didn't you just say they need a center?
Well, I said they do need a center, but what they really need is not to be giving up a bunch of stuff for Miles Turner, because then they'll just have a stacked 3, 4, and 5, and guess what? They still have the same problem. They still have no guard play. Because they're
unless you're running LeBron at the guard, but
I get okay, sure, whatever. And then you still have to give up. I mean, you're giving up Russ, of course. I would assume.
You'd have to.
But that's the thing. The Pacers, why would they want to muck their team up with that nonsense? Nobody wants to.
No one, no.
So Miles Turner, you can say all you want, buddy. We've known you wanted to go. This isn't news,
right?
Everybody wants.
We
to
knew
play
when
with
DeAndre
LeBron
Ayton
James
was a
and Anthony
Pacer.
Davis.
When DeAndre Ayton was a Pacer for a brief 10 minutes, we knew that Miles Turner wanted it out.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't know. It's just like, yeah, he said it explicitly now, but it's not like it's news,
right?
And I don't. Again, it's still the Pacers front office. Like you're in such a weird spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, draft picks are good. And you only got to have Russell for 1 year. And also, it's crazy because, like, it's wide open now if you want to tank. Like, it is so wide open.
Right. But tanking is a serious problem right now in the NBA because of Victor Wembanyama. And
I know, but we can talk
Commissioner
about it
Adam Silver is keeping an eye out on the tanking. He's making sure teams don't tank because everyone wants this 7'15" freak of a basketball player. So,
Well, that's how the Jazz are beating it. They're getting really hot early, so everybody just forgets when.
oh
they
yeah,
fall
you
off
think
a
that's how it
cliff.
works? Yeah,
How
for
about the
sure.
Jazz though? Arguably the best team in the NBA right now.
Arguably,
No, right now, actually, they are the best team in the NBA right now.
before
I
the
wrong?
season, they were predicted to be the worst team. Well, at least one of the worst teams in the NBA. So that's a shocker. Yeah, talk to me about the Jazz.
Dude, so the Jazz. Here's what's going on with the Jazz. You've got a great backcourt in Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson. Always have had a great
And
backcourt with
Sexton.
those two guys. And now Sexton off the bench, who averaged 24 2 years ago in the Cavs. People forget. People forget about the
I
young
didn't
bull.
forget.
People forget about the Pebblebrook star, young bull. Never do. All right?
You know that video of him in high school when he's staring
Dude,
down
I
at the free throw
watched
line?
him.
Love that.
I watched him live in high school.
Really?
I went to some of his games in high
Did
school.
he-
He's from the A,
Is
Pebblebrook
he?
High School.
I didn't
of
know
course,
that.
baby.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, yeah, he was a young bull. Always has been, always will be. So that, and then you've got, I mean, this is crazy. Malik Beasley, who obviously has bounced around a few teams on the Timberwolves for a little bit last few years,
Great shooter.
got traded in that Rudy Gobert trade.
Mhm.
Dude, he might
I have a
be,
question
no,
for you.
hold on. He might be their sixth best player on the team,
You think?
which is insane because he was a rotation starter for the Timberwolves last year.
I have a question for you real quick. Who did not get traded in that Timberwolves trade for Rudy Gobert?
Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns,
And D'Angelo Russell. And that's
D'Angelo
it.
Russell.
No, I know who wasn't traded. I'm just saying hypothetically,
Jaden
everyone
McDaniels.
was traded for Rudy Gobert.
No, exactly. And so
Arguably one of the worst trades.
Well, that I don't know. Look, Rudy Gobert, regardless if it doesn't work out in Minnesota right now, he's still going to be a great trade piece down the line. Regardless if it doesn't work out, he's still going to be able to get traded for a lot of value.
Sure.
And the Timberwolves had to do something to spice it up. I don't think that was the right move. And obviously, hindsight 2020, they stink at defense and they stink at offense, which is not the direction they wanted to go in. But looking at it was I think the best trade though for him was the Cavs trade, getting rid of
For the
D-Mitch,
Jazz, yeah.
because they got who is now their star player in Lowry Markkanen. This guy, 31 last night on 15 shots, 4 for 5 from 3, 11 rebounds. I mean, he just is a stud.
Utah got a lot
The pacing,
for Donovan Mitchell.
The pacing and the spacing that the Jazz are playing with right now, Will Hardy's done a great job as their head coach putting it together. They pretty much, I mean, it's kind of like they could almost run you remember the Kentucky platoon subs from like 2014, 2015?
Yeah.
When Kentucky would go 5 in, 5 out with the Harrison brothers and, Tyler
Right.
Ulis and that whole squad.
Mhm.
That's like the Jazz don't do that because you can't do that in the NBA. That's insane. But that's almost what they're at. They're so deep and they don't have, they don't have an offensive centric player that they run everything through, which is what they had to do with D-Mitch.
Right.
So the Jazz are just playing great. They're playing together and they're playing with no expectations, which in the NBA, I think you see it so much destroy teams. Nets, Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
kind of destroyed the Suns last year in the playoffs. Expectations are so high. It's so much harder to answer the bell.
Yeah. Speaking of that Jazz Cavs trade, I think both teams won equally.
Absolutely.
We're talking Donovan Mitchell that's all Cleveland got, which is fine because they look great. Donovan Mitchell's
all they
playing
needed,
unbelievable.
yeah.
The Jazz, on the other hand, got Lauri Markkanen, like you stated, Ochai Abayi.
Oh, that's right. For some reason, when I was reading that article, I thought he was
Yeah.
a rookie. That's fine.
Yeah, he was drafted by Cleveland.
Yep.
Amazing player,
Yep.
Kentucky.
Great player.
And Utah got him now. Colin Sexton.
Kansas.
Kansas.
Oh, he is a rookie.
Colin
That's what I was
Sexton.
tripping.
He's a rookie. Colin Sexton, and then a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah.
If
No, the
that's not a
Jazz-
win-win, I don't know what is.
Dude, the Jazz fleeced. And it obviously took everybody to see them win a couple games, but they fleeced and they got rid of Royce O'Neal. So, I mean, they did.
Where's he on Brooklyn now?
No, he's on the Jazz. I mean, he's on the Lakers and the Jazz
Royce
got,
O'Neal?
Yeah, Jazz got THT and another draft pick, I think.
Royce O'Neal's on the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, I was just looking at the Nets trades.
1, Gabe,
No, yeah,
Hank,
you got
0.
Me. Yeah, you got me. I was looking at the Nets stats, and then I also had the Lakers stats.
Royce
pulled up.
O'Neal bounces around like like crazy, honestly.
Wow, you know what? The Lakers could really use Royce O'Neal. That's why I was thinking that. Dude, the
Lakers could use a lot of players.
You want to know something funny? The Lakers' best 3-point percentage player right now, guess what his name is? Give you a hint. He's a quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, God, Matt. Gosh.
We talked about him on last week's show. How can you forget this? 28-3. Falcons Patriots.
I'm just
Matt
not even. I'm just not even
Matt
knowledgeable.
Ryan.
Matt
Yeah, you're
Ryan.
just
Matt
not-
Ryan.
no, it's
Jeez.
okay. Hey, you can't be screwed in that one.
I know.
Um,
My bad.
So tell me about this tampering situation.
Oh yeah. So we knew in the offseason there was a little controversial about the Sixers tampering to get PJ Tucker, to get who else did they get? Can't remember exactly who they got, but they got PJ Tucker and a few others, but there was some tampering going on that they were talking previously before the
I think it was almost all with PJ Tucker.
I think it was just
I
PJ
think
Tucker,
they were
but
trying to get someone else, but they didn't get him. If that's
Okay.
what you're talking about, in the tampering.
Maybe I don't remember, but there's some tampering, and tampering is when you talk to a team and kind of persuade them to come to that team before like free agency starts, or
talk to a player.
talk to a
and try
player, right?
Persuade
And
them.
yeah, before like free agency starts or something.
It's the same in recruiting.
I don't
you
really
know?
understand.
You can only have official visits.
Yeah, I don't
and-
really understand why that's a problem. Like,
Well, because look, like because when LeBron and Melo and CP3 and they were all in their prime. Remember when CP3 almost went
he went
to the Lakers?
Yeah,
to play with it's like
didn't what's his name? David Stern
blocked
declined
it.
that. Yeah.
Because there's just some things that the NBA for a competitive advantage. You just can't have PJ Tucker, Jay Crowder, and the third best rotation defensive player, 3-point shooter, all going to the same team.
Mm-hmm.
But NBA always seems to balance itself out. Isn't that so ironic?
Right. Yeah, and one more tampering investigation.
So what they lose? 2 second rounders?
2 second-round picks. Yeah.
For 2023,
Yeah,
2024?
which is, it's not the end of the world.
No, because those are just trade swaps pretty much.
Right.
Because like
Once
second
the
round
second
picks
round
are
starts,
so
yeah.
misfire.
Unless it's like Rudy Gobert or
Well, that's the
Draymond
thing.
Green.
There's one of those a year.
right.
And nowadays, it's become so much of let's see if we can hit on these European players, which I think is a great move because if there's this Luka out there, find him. That's just
He's
like
not going to be a
hustle.
second-round pick.
It's just
but
like the
yeah.
movie. Well, no, I know, but it's like the movie, with Adam Sandler. It's called Hustle, right?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Bo Cruz.
Bo Cruz.
Bo Cruz.
Boa constrictor.
One more investigation going on, which is pretty obvious.
Brunson. Yeah,
Brunson.
Duh. They definitely
Wow, it's just
tampered.
interesting how his dad works for the Knicks.
Well,
and
it's
that
also the Knicks.
come on.
Knicks were so outright about, we're going to give him $100 million.
I think
It's like, what is he supposed to do?
it's so obvious. We knew that Jalen Brunson was going to go to the Knicks before the finals even ended. I think he agreed on the contract before the Knicks were even their season was even over. I don't know.
Okay, looking into college football, our first college football playoff rankings release is tonight. So
All
this
right.
is going to be huge, okay? This is big. This is where, we're going to start to figure everything out. The current AP rankings are Georgia, Tennessee jumped.
Oh wow.
Ohio State 3, Michigan 4, Clemson 5, Bama 6,
Well, Ohio
TCU,
State almost blew that
TCU,
game. So
who is still undefeated. That's 7. Okay. Well, Penn State always plays them tough. I didn't expect that to be a blowout. I thought it was going to be a close game. It was. Ohio State gritted it out, won it. But, Gabe, I will be in attendance in Athens, Georgia this weekend.
will
for
you?
Tennessee.
All right.
Number 2
Oh, you
Tennessee
told me about that. Yeah,
at number 1 Georgia.
that's fun.
And
That's
it
gonna
is
be fun.
going to be. I was in Georgia for the Michigan-Georgia college football playoff game last year. That was rocking, rowdy. This is going to be even more insane, not to mention it's in Athens. I am so excited. And, God, I really hope Tennessee doesn't just put up 50 on their dome because Tennessee's
gonna be a good
offense
game.
is so good, and Georgia's defense has been somewhat lackluster recently. Just lost Nolan Smith, outside linebacker, for the year. Yep, edge rusher. Edge rusher who doesn't have any sacks. Okay, so keep that in mind. Could you get somebody out there who could get a sack? Hopefully, because nobody in Georgia right now gets sacks. It's pretty tough. So I would assume the rankings are going to follow almost to a T this, but I could very well see Tennessee being one. I could very well see that. They're undefeated, just like Georgia. The only reason, that the AP poll has stayed the same is because those guys vote. So until they see Georgia get knocked off, from week 1 on, they're going to be one. CFP, they start in week 8. So they don't, or week 9 actually. So they don't have any affiliation, week 10 technically. So I think it's going to be Tennessee 1, Georgia 2.
We'll find out.
That's really all
it's
I got to say.
Game.
That's
Please.
Coming out at 7
next
o'clock
episode
tonight.
Next episode. Let us know how the game goes. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I won't be in the game because I don't want to pay $400. And I'm also going with my friend who
Are you just
cannot
tailgating
afford
outside?
That. Well, yeah, we'll just go to the bars and watch the game, and then all my
the
friends
atmosphere is going to be the same.
No, absolutely. So. Yeah, I just cannot buy a ticket for $400. That's just going down there more for the atmosphere experience. I got a lot of family going down there. And then NFL. Okay, Gabe. NFL. The Falcons now officially are running the NFC South after beating the Panthers by 3. I'm sure you didn't really get to watch any of that game. Panthers kicker missed 2 kicks, basically chip shots, to win it twice. Once in overtime and once the end of regulation. Brutal stuff. Broncos finally won again.
Let's
ride. The whole thing with Russ doing the high knees on the plane to London must have worked out. They barely won, escaped with the W. Cowboys continue to dominate, Eagles continue to dominate. Who else has been dominating? Nobody. Seahawks continue to dominate.
Seahawks look great.
Seahawks
I
at
did watch
home
that game.
might be the best team in the NFL.
Geno Smith is playing unbelievable.
Yeah, they're 3-1 at home.
Geno's
Geno's been playing amazing. Oh, Bills. That's who I wanted to say. Bills continue to dominate. So Bills, Eagles, and Cowboys, I'd say, are really up there right now.
Giants lost their last game, but they still look great.
That's a stretch.
Come on.
The Giants,
give it to them.
Giants haven't looked good in a game that they've won yet. And we talked about this. They just continue to win. Which is
You're
way
not
more
wrong.
impressive.
You're not wrong.
You don't want to look good and lose games. Well, maybe you do, actually. But you'd rather look mediocre and win games.
I get that.
No disrespect. They're 6-2. Okay, no disrespect.
Yeah, I mean, like we said,
Titans are going to win that division, the AFC South for sure. They handled the Texans pretty easily. And the Raiders stink really bad. The Raiders put up a 0 ball. 0-4 on the road. Nothing else. They're just really, really bad. They gave up 3 touchdowns to Kamara, who almost beat me in fantasy this week, but held on strong. I had Deontay Foreman. Don't even worry about it. Stud. But yeah, good weekend in the NFL. Everything's starting to take shape. And nobody expected the NFC West to play out like this. But the Seahawks have a game lead over the Niners, two games lead over the Rams. I mean, this is insane. The Seahawks have a 2-game lead over the Rams, who won the Super Bowl last year. And the Seahawks starting quarterback is Geno Smith.
Yeah, he looks great. He does. He does.
Carved up that Giants defense, which has played pretty well. As of late. And yeah, who's going to beat the Eagles? That's really the question. Who can?
The Eagles 8-0 now.
7-0.
7-0. Unbelievable.
Who can knock them off? We'll find out. Thursday night game this week. Oh, I believe is the Eagles.
Who are they playing?
Oh, you're going to like this one.
Are they Giants?
The Texans.
Philadelphia
in Houston. Guess who else will be playing Thursday night in Houston? Oh, it got pushed back. So they're actually going to be playing Friday night in Houston. The baseball game.
That would have been a crazy night in Houston.
Absolutely insane. Philadelphia might just spend the whole weekend there, especially if the Eagles dominate.
Wasn't last year, I think it was last year, I think the Falcons were playing the same day as the Braves were playing in the World Series. And aren't the stadiums right next to each other? Or
Oh. No, they're not even close anymore. They're about 25, 30 minutes away.
what game was it that there was a World Series game going on, and then right across the street was a football game? Or maybe it was a basketball game. Where's the Hawks Stadium?
No. The Braves are not close to anybody.
What was it then? I can't remember what it was.
You're
Maybe
probably
it was
thinking of 2 or 3 or 4 or
Was it-
5 years ago.
Was it Hawks Falcons? Are they close to each other?
Yeah. But we didn't play in Atlanta. It was probably the NCAA championship, the NCAA football championship in the Benz. That's like our state-of-the-art stadium.
Right.
So that's probably what it was. It was probably Georgia
Maybe.
playing there and the Hawks played. But who cares?
Maybe that. I think that's
cares
what it
about
was.
the
I think it
Hawks?
was. No, I know, but that was just a fun night. Is that all for the NFL for you?
Give me the Eagles minus 13. Give me the Eagles minus 50 versus the Texans on Thursday.
Okay. So there's Hank's rundown of football. Thank you, Hank. You good there? Getting your coffee?
Anytime, just stretching. Yeah.
So there's Hank's rundown of the NFL and the NCAA. But let's move into baseball while we're on the topic of that. The Phillies took a game, surprisingly.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
think that was a surprise.
actually, no. I'm not surprised they took a game. I'm surprised they took the first game.
But that's the game to take.
Of course.
You catch them. You catch them with the ricochet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And extras though. It's not like it was.
No, it wasn't a close game.
It was a gritty W.
It's never going to be a close game with the Astros. If you're going to win, it's going to be a hard dogfight game.
It's never going to be a close game. That was a close game.
It's always going to be close. Excuse me.
Yeah,
it's always going to be a close game.
Tripping a
little bit. This coffee's got me jittery. My mom told me it's going to be making me
you're
jittery.
excited to reveal to the viewers who are interviewers. I understand. I'm not shocked.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second. Last game was postponed due to rain, so they played tonight, I believe. Astros and Phillies.
Gabe, how do you feel about that? I think that's weak.
What?
Play the damn game.
Look,
rain is a part of the elements.
Yes, it is. I don't know.
Look, unless it's a torrential downpour, which it wasn't.
It's about injury.
Dude, but they want it to be too perfect. It's a sport.
It's the World Series. Of course they want it to be perfect.
Yeah, well, it's fun to watch if it's raining. That's fun.
Listen, if the next day is going to be clear or if it looks clear in the forecast, I'd push it back. But if it's going to be raining for the next few nights, just play. But it's about injury. Do you want your players to get injured?
Dude, they get injured regardless.
It's a much higher risk of getting injured.
I watched Ronald Acuna get injured in Miami with a dome. Like it doesn't make a damn difference.
I was there when he sat down because they weren't playing him.
Yeah, it doesn't make a damn difference.
But
I mean, it obviously does. But like, that's ridiculous. Baseball players should be professional athletes, right?
What do we know about baseball? I
played it for a long time.
I think someone else knows much more about baseball.
Dude, I agree, but I could also have an opinion that if this is the World Series,
of course,
they wouldn't move the Super Bowl back a day because it snowed. Oh, yeah, because it happened, and it was a torrential snow, and the Patriots won it with one of the greatest kicks of all time. Sometimes great things happen in bad weather.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But
do you know how we figured out electricity? Weather was terrible. Am I wrong?
No,
weather was terrible.
You're not wrong.
Exactly.
But I want to move on to someone who knows much more about baseball than we do. And this man pitched in the 1965 World Series. This is a amazing individual, family friend of mine. I want to give a little
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. I want to give a little background on him before we go, though. So this man I'm talking about, this is Jim Kaat. Jim Kaat is a very, very good friend of my grandfather and a very good family friend of mine because of my grandfather. I've known Jim Kaat basically my whole life, and I met him when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and he gave me a pitching lesson. So that was the first time I met him, gave me a pitching lesson. I mean, that was the best pitching lesson I've ever gotten, of course. But he has done so much for myself and my family. And the thing that is so special about Jim Kaat is that he does this stuff out of his own pleasure. None of the stuff that he does, he says, like, it's never out of his way. Nothing he does is out of his way. And I feel like I don't want to ask him any more favors because I've already asked him enough. I want to save one for when I really need one. But he does this stuff out of his own pleasure. And that's what's so special about him. Let me just tell you what he's done for my family in a little rundown, I guess. So, Jim Kaat, he's the reason I got into broadcasting. Back in 2010, I believe it was 2010, he was broadcasting a game for MLB Network. And he brought my family and I into the press box. And the atmosphere in the press box was unbelievable. I don't know what it was, but when I walked in there, I realized this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. So ever since then, I've been wanting to pursue a career in broadcasting. This past summer, we've been waiting for this moment. For this past summer, Jim Kaat was finally elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Let me read you off his accolades. And you tell me if you think this man deserved to be in there a while. Well, you tell me if you think he deserved to be there a while ago. Jim Kaat is a 16-time Gold Glove winner, an All-Star for 3 seasons, the American League leader in shutouts in 1962, an American League leader in wins 25 and complete games 19 in 66. And in addition to his 283 career wins, his 3 20-win seasons. If that's not a Hall of Famer, I don't know what is.
That was beautiful. Thank you. From an unbiased perspective, I can honestly say I did not know who Jim Kaat was, but that's okay. Me and Gabe have discussed this many times. I'm not a baseball junkie. Never have been. Maybe I'll find myself to be one soon, but I do appreciate greatness. Like you said, it doesn't take a dummy to look up his stats and his accolades and to see, how impressive he was. I can say that when we talked to him and we got the opportunity to interview him, I learned a lot about not only the game of baseball, but about him as well. And it was an awesome interview. I hope you guys take the time out of your day to listen to it. It's only about 25, 30 minutes, and he gave a lot of great insight and a couple funny stories in there as well.
And this is the reason why I want to tell you guys about Jim Kaat, because not only is he an amazing baseball player, or was an amazing baseball player, but he's an amazing human being. And I want you guys to know that, because, I mean, that's really all I got. But I had the opportunity to talk to Jim Kaat. He was happy to talk to me. And we're going to roll that clip for you guys. So we're going to go. Let's do it. All right. You ready to talk some baseball, Jim?
Sure.
All right. So have you been watching the World Series?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm in Beaufort, South Carolina. We have no internet until today and no cable, no TV. So I got the highlights. I read about it. I heard all about it, but I have not really seen a pitch in person or on TV.
What about any of the past postseason series?
Oh yeah, I've watched most of those. I mean, I think baseball has gotten to the point where the only thing that really attracts a large number of fans are the playoff games, the postseason games, because they have the drama that the regular season games don't.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, they matter. And that's the thing when you have 162 games, especially for fans, you feel like, we lose this one, we'll get, the next one or whatever. But in the playoffs, it's win or go home.
Yeah, I think that's the appeal. And it's no secret. My friend Dan Shaughnessy wrote a very poignant column today in the Boston Globe about how people of my age and era have kind of lost, the game has lost its appeal because of the influence of science and analytics and things like that. But what attracts me, and I think what attracts a lot of fans, is the laundry they pull for their team, even though the players change team to team all the time, and the drama of the outcome. Like I'm kind of torn with the World Series between hoping that Dusty gets a ring, and also because of my former team, the Phillies, and I know Rob Thompson very well. And so on one hand, I'd like to see them win as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you sort of feel that same way kind of about Bryce Harper in the player sense that, you want to see him win one kind of finally. And I mean, you're a former Philly, so of course you want to see it for the city of Philadelphia, I would assume.
Yeah, and I think with all the heat that the Phillies took and Bryce took when he first signed that big contract, like now I think he's really proving what what a superstar really is, and how he's carried that team, not just with his statistics, but I think just with his leadership. Yeah, so certainly it'd be great for the city of Philadelphia.
Absolutely. And I got a few questions here regarding this postseason, especially the World Series that I got prepared. So I guess we'll start with let's go. Which team, obviously, of the ones who have been eliminated, has disappointed you the most? In my opinion, I have the Dodgers and the Mets. I want to hear your opinion, though.
I would say the Dodgers would be the top of that list. The Yankees might be second. I mean, the Mets had a terrific year, and Buck Showalter's a great friend. I think he did a great job. It didn't end well for him, but I had told him, I actually talked to him the day after they lost to San Diego, and I said, you shouldn't let a week's worth of games kind of defeat what you did over 162, because it's much more difficult to win something over 162 games. You got injuries, you got highs and lows, and that you should be proud of that. Because of the diluted playoff system, I was raised as a kid and then as a player when it was just World Series or nothing.
Right.
And I still wish it was, but I think the playoffs are attractive to fans. So it's kind of sad that those 100-win teams, the only one that's really survived, and I thought all year long, but the best overall team has been Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dodgers are a big disappointment with all the money that they've invested and the talent that they have, and then to lose in a short season like that, and the Yankees as well.
So you talked about growing up and that there was just a World Series and that's it. Now they added the wild card, and they added actually a third wild card spot. So we're talking about the Phillies, who is a third place team in the NL East, just clinched this third wild card spot. How did they go from that spot all the way to the World Series? Like, what has boosted this team to have this magical run like this?
Well, I think the end of the season they were a much different team in terms of their performance. I think Harper was injured for a while, and I think some of the players kind of grew through the year what it means to be on a championship caliber team. So I really think they were just a team that matured late. I don't think they were a surprise as far as their ability. I think they were a disappointment early in the year because of the ability they had, and they didn't perform.
Right. Do you think Philadelphia has enough to keep up with Houston here?
Well, I think they do. Yeah, I mean, I think you look at Nola and Verlander, you expect them to have better games, but certainly Nola is capable of pitching a big. I think Wheeler getting another opportunity will be better. So in a short series like that, yes. And, it's interesting that we're talking about starting pitchers when all year long you hear the analytical experts talk about teams using an opener and piecing the game together with a number of relievers. But, here you have two teams that really rely on top two starters. I mean, there's no question in my mind that Houston has more depth. They have more experience. They're better at everything. But there's that thing in the postseason play that we've seen in the past, even going back to when the Red Sox overcame that 3-0 deficit, that teams get out of roll. And, all you have to do is win 3 more games and it's all over.
Right.
So I wanted to ask, you did mention kind of how the MLB has sort of shifted into one guy pitching a complete game. And now it's, you're sending out 3, 4, 5 guys maybe just to get in the last 4 innings. So just kind of watch that Nolan Ryan documentary too on Netflix. I don't know if you saw that, but do you think when it comes to pitching that if you have a guy that goes out there and pitches 5 scoreless, do you think that kind of resonates through the bullpen and they come out, maybe a little bit more juiced up and fired up if their starter went out there and pitched a solid game?
Yeah, I think the relievers today are more sort of conditioned to, well, in the fifth inning, we better get ready because we're going to be going in there. In the past, it was more of a surprise. I'm sure it was a surprise to Houston when Verlander didn't hold that lead, but that's the way they're trained now. I remember when I coached for the Reds and we had a young pitcher and he was kind of a spot starter and he had pitched 5 good innings, sat on the bench and said, well, I did my job. And I looked at him and I looked at the scoreboard. I said, no, we're playing 9 innings today, not just 5, but they're conditioned to doing that. So I think but certainly the bullpen, I think, throughout my career, and because I was a quote closer for a brief period of time with the Cardinals and got a chance to save a couple games with the Twins, but you feel a lot more pressure when your starter has gone 7 or 8 innings, and now you're the guy that has to go in and nail it down. Whereas I think today guys are more conditioned to they're going to have to do that because nobody pitches complete games anymore.
Right. And it's different now. National League, no pitcher hits anymore. And I know you used to be able to hit back in your day, Jim.
Well, I think as a kid, we thought of ourselves as baseball players that just happened to be pitchers. And in the sandlot, we learned to bunt, we played pepper, we learned to slide, we fielded our position. That's what hurt Verlander the other night in his game. And I was talking to my friend John Stuper, who just retired as the coach of Yale, but he said, all the analytics say that it will help them win a game or 2 or maybe 3, the scientific information. I kind of poked the bear at that because if everybody has the same information, which they do, it still comes down to who has the best players. But what has cost teams a few games is pitchers' inability to field their position because they're not in position to do that. And that was all part of the game when I grew up, is as soon as you let the ball go, you were a 5th infielder. And unfortunately, I think with all the emphasis on power, pitching and hitting, that some of those little subtle skills like running the bases and hitting the cutoff man, and as a pitcher, if you don't have your ace stuff today, you kind of figure out a way to finesse your way through it. Those little subtle skills are not there anymore.
16 Gold Gloves, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, my boyhood hero, who just turned 97 a couple of weeks ago, Bobby Shantz, he wouldn't be able to play today. A lot of us wouldn't. I talked to Pete Rose the other day. He wouldn't play today. Dave Kingman would be a number 1 draft pick over Pete Rose. I don't know if you remember Dave Kingman, but home run, strikeout, or walk. But I listened to the announcer on a Sunday afternoon. I could listen to 8 games. Every team played a doubleheader. So I had Cubs, White Sox, Tigers, and the Braves. And my dad was a avid Philadelphia Athletics fan. And Bobby Shantz, 5'6", 140 pounds, was their ace. And the announcer would say, here's Bobby Shantz, best fielding pitcher in baseball, lands on the balls of his feet. He's ready to go right or left, always in position for a ball hit back at him. So I would bounce a ball off the back of my garage and kind of mimicked Bobby. And when I got into professional baseball, the first spring training, all the coaches said, kid, you look just like Bobby Shantz. The only difference was he was 5'6", I was 6'5". But what an incredible year. And even I've seen Hall of Famers and introduced Bobby to Hall of Famers like Johnny Bench. He had no idea the kind of year Bobby had in 1952. He went 24-7. He started 33 games. He completed 27 games, 5 or 6 shutouts, and he came within between 20 and 25 innings of completing every game he started. So you can imagine what an outlier season that was when you look at the way the game is operated today.
And I want to talk about you, Jim. So this past summer, you were elected to the Hall of Fame. I was absolutely honored to have witnessed that in person. But but tell me about your experience from your point of view. What was going on there? I know my point of view, but from someone who was on the big stage like you, what was your point of view there?
Well, I think the magnitude of the attention once I got the call was what overwhelmed me. It really surprised me. Here I'm saying I hadn't thrown a pitch in 34 years, and all of a sudden it's like I had this great career that that I thought was a good career, but not on that standard. So that's really what overwhelmed me, and it still does. I mean, first of all, it's a very humbling experience when you look at a lot of the players that almost got there. My friend Dick Allen missed by a vote. There's still a lot of players out there, Tommy John, that I hope gets in with the next vote. But I think being grateful more than anything, because it was more unexpected for me than it was for, say, Big Papi. It was just a matter of time before guys like David Ortiz gets in. So as I just looked around, I remember taking my tour of the museum during orientation time. You go ahead of time, ahead of the induction for a few days of orientation, and they give you a tour. Everybody's mic'd up. Some of the public is there. And you sit on this bench in front of this huge wall photograph of the first 9 members of the Hall of Fame. So I'm sitting on a bench with Ty Cobb on my left and Babe Ruth on my right. And the guide, Eric, said to me after I got up from that bench, he said, "Well, what did you think of having your picture there?" And I said, the first thought that crossed my mind is, what am I doing here? Right, with those guys. So that's what really struck me. I kidded my family when they had my sister who's 95, couldn't come to Cooperstown. We didn't want her to come to Cooperstown with the heat and everything, but she had a nice celebration for me back in my hometown, Zeeland, Michigan. And I was telling my nephews and nieces there, they were asking me about the experience of standing on that stage and looking out at 35,000 people. And I said, I thought I was Freddie Mercury getting ready to sing at the Live Aid concert. That's what it seemed like. Of course, I had to tell my sister who Freddie Mercury was.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your resume, well deserved. I know myself, Kenny, Larry, Jamie, we've all been waiting for that message for years now. Finally, it's happened. Now let's wait for Tommy John, wait for all the others to come in. But it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever witnessed. But let's move back into current day World Series. I want to talk about some standout players who from either team has really stood out to you the most. And I guess not even just like Jeremy Pena or a rookie, but someone who's kind of broke through this series to kind of show like who they are as a player.
Well, he did all year, and that was Kyle Tucker for the Astros. He was part of, and that's, I think, what the Twins found out about Carlos Correa. Carlos, when he's in a lineup with Altuve and Tucker, and now Alvarez and people like that, there's a lot less pressure than there was when he just played for the Twins and he kind of stood out. And I think that's where Tucker was kind of hidden. Now all of a sudden he's become really one of the stars of that team. I think probably with the Phillies, we knew about Harper, but I think now as Real Muto, who, I've known about since he was catching for the Marlins, but now he's gotten the exposure to really show what a great player he is. So I guess it would be those two. And I think subtly at the end of the Philly bullpen, and a guy I think he's going to start Game 3 is Ranger Suarez. He's an excellent fielder. I think I'll probably in about 10 days be presenting him with a Gold Glove at the Gold Glove dinner in New York City. Excellent fielder, but he's kind of a throwback in that very few guys like that get scouted because he's not an overpowering pitcher. He depends on change of speeds, and he's just got a lot of confidence in his ability on the mound, and so I think he's been a nice surprise for the Phillies here in postseason play.
Yeah, I am a personal Braves fan, so I've had to go through this Phillies lineup too many times. Nola always makes it tough. Suarez, I think, is one of the if you don't really follow baseball, you're not going to know who he is. But I think he is arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. I mean, like you said, he's got so much stuff. And he came in and closed that game out against the Padres too, which was, like how awesome do you think that is? Because that kind of takes you a little bit back, bringing in a starter who maybe pitched a couple games ago, and now he's trying to come in and close out.
Yeah, he's going to be what Madison Bumgarner did for the Giants years ago, probably. And we've seen that over the years in postseason play, where managers will use a starter in relief. With Schilling and Randy Johnson with the Diamondbacks years ago. But yeah, I think to see that happen today is a bit unusual. And there's going back to our earlier question about the disappointments. I'm sure you're pretty disappointed in the Braves with the year that Charlie Morton wasn't the same pitcher that he was early on, and the way he was for the Rays. But I actually saw Brian Snitker at unfortunately went to my former teammate Bruce Suter's funeral service down in Atlanta, and a lot of the Braves were there. I was telling him the same thing that I told Buck Showalter, that it's hard to do, but you can't let a short series take away from what you accomplished, coming all the way back and winning the division.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, first of all. And then, that's just kind of the thing about it. It sort of felt like us taking the division from the Mets was maybe the World Series in itself. It kind of felt like that was such a fun ride to just see their collapse at the last minute. And, we had the best record in baseball in the second half of the season. So obviously, like you said, it's 162 games, stinks that the short series decided it. But yeah, they won the World Series on my 21st birthday last year. So I'm okay.
Good.
For a pretty long time. Yeah, I'm gonna be okay.
Well, it's the almost leaning toward everybody gets a trophy that baseball's going to now. They keep adding these wild card teams, and if they do it anymore, I mean, you're going to eventually see a team that, I think the last team that was close to just 500 was the 73 Mets. I think they finished the year 82 and 80. That year, but you're going to start seeing those teams like the Phillies this year, who, if the Cardinal relievers could have thrown the ball over the plate, we would have never seen the Phillies. But that's what happens this time of the year in a short series. And as you pointed out earlier, the drama of these postseason games attract you, because a bad game now and you're home. If that happens in mid-April, big deal. We got another one tomorrow. And I think that's why baseball, of course, loves the postseason play. I've told the commissioner many times, I said, really, we don't own the summer anymore. Like when I was a kid and a young player, pitchers and catchers report in February. We owned the summer until football started maybe in October. Well, now all the seasons overlap. So I said, in a perfect world, they'll never do it because of financial reasons. But 100-game season ending on Labor Day, and then the whole month of September could be playoff baseball. And then we would still have what we called the Fall Classic, which was the World Series. And when I pitched in the World Series for the first time in '65, Game 7 was on October 8th. So we're 3 weeks beyond that now, and we're just into the early part of the World Series. And chances are in Philadelphia, you might have some tough weather to deal with even as well. So, but that's what's attractive now is the playoff sports. I think in all sports, that's what attracts people.
Well, Jim, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you look really comfortable over there. I want you to enjoy your time in South Carolina before you head back home to Vermont. But I just want to close out with one final question. So we know how dominant Houston is. Their pitching staff is unbelievable. It doesn't seem like losing Carlos Correa and George Springer is really affecting them too much. So I want you to give me your full honesty. Who do you think is going to win this World Series?
I would be more surprised if Philadelphia won it than if Houston won it. I expect Houston to win it. But the way the Phillies have gone and, the way they pulled that first game out, I mean, it's kind of like when the Tigers went against the Giants and Verlander had that big year, and all of a sudden Pablo Sandoval took over that series, and nobody expected that. We could see the same thing this year, but I still kind of expect Houston to win it.
Right. I think we all do. I think
Yeah.
we're all hoping a little bit that Philadelphia pulls it away, but
Yeah.
we all know in reality Houston is extremely dominant, and it's about time this magical run doesn't really end up where it's going to be. But with that being said, that's all I have. Hank, do you want to add anything else?
Hey, the magical run worked last year with the NL East team, so I really would not put it past the Phillies. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never
Yeah.
know. Well, Jim, safe travels back to Vermont. As always, it's an honor. It's thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. I hope that our families can do something soon. And stay safe, be well, and tell your wife as well, be well. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. Hank, Gabe, enjoyed it. Good
Thank you.
luck with your
Absolutely.
future podcast. Take care.
Yep.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Hope you guys enjoyed the interview. We will finish this off like we stated last week. We're going to do the Pirtle, the Daily Pirtle, and we're going to get it. Okay, let's pull it up here. I don't like that it doesn't just show up immediately. Okay.
You
So
ready?
last time, who did we guess first?
We guessed Al Horford.
We guessed Al Horford. Today, let's go with a Western Conference player. Oh, you know who we should go with?
Steve Nash.
No.
Who?
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, yeah, let's go Kawhi Leonard. Okay.
Bricked there. Huge brick. Okay,
right, so
number
he's-
one. He's number one.
He's number one. He's in the Eastern Conference and he's number one.
Okay. Brainstorm for a second here.
Is Zion number one?
Zion's taller than 6'7".
Is he number one?
But position forward, I don't really know how to view that.
Okay, so he's much younger than 31. So let's just say someone in the Eastern Conference who's young. Let's go with
Well, let's think of number one.
I'm not going to think about
D'Lo.
I'm not going to think of
he's
numbers
taller
right now.
than 6'7".
I'm not going to think of numbers right now.
See, that's how I kind of have to. I like thinking about jerseys.
Well, I want to narrow
I think
it down
Zion's
first.
a great pick.
Let's pick Zion.
No.
Why not?
Zion's in the Western Conference.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. Jeez.
Oh, you know, it could be. What is... Oh, Paolo's 5. I'm trying to think of who's won on the Magic. Who's won on the... Okay, LaMelo's not that tall.
We can't just pick teams right now.
I think about numbers. I'm trying to get this in 2 tries.
All right, okay.
You can brainstorm over there your
Okay.
own separate way.
All right.
But
I'm
I
trying to
got to
think.
think of whoever's number one. I mean, I'm thinking nobody on the Nets, nobody on the Celtics, nobody on the Knit. Obi Toppin. It's got to be Obi Toppin.
Is he number one?
He's number one.
Let's try it. Nope, not Obi Toppin.
Oh, was I close?
He's in the Atlantic, though.
Oh, dude, that was so
He's
close.
in the Atlantic. He's 24
And he's
years
24. Dude, how did... Oh,
old. That's
my
tough.
God,
We'll
I'm
get it in
so
3. We'll
close.
get it in 3. Don't worry.
Well, dude, it has to be...
Oh, he's number 0.
Oh, how did I not even think about that? And he's 6'8", and he's number 0.
Okay. He's in the Atlantic, so it's the Knicks, it's the Celtics, it's the Sixers, it's the Nets, and the Raptors.
Yeah, who's 0 on the Raptors? Scotty Barnes?
He's not 24, though.
He's also not 0.
Rob Williams.
No, he's 44. Number 44. He is not number 0. And he's also a lot bigger than 6'8".
What number is Jason Tatum?
It's Jason Tatum.
It's Jason Tatum?
Yeah.
No, it's
Yes,
not
it is.
Jason
He's
Tatum.
24.
But it has him as forward/center.
No, he could be. I think it's a guard. I think it's a 6'8" guard.
Yeah, it's Jason Tatum.
Has to be.
Let's go.
Yeah, come on. Let's go. Good guess. 0. God, I was so stumped on 1. And if I would have just thought of 0, I would have gotten Tatum immediately.
All right, so next episode we're going to get into, or 1, but we're going to go down from here.
I don't. Getting it in 1 is like, what the heck?
No,
How-
we're not going to get in 1.
Yeah.
Unless you look at the silhouette, but you can look at the
I
silhouette.
didn't even know there was a silhouette.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
we would have
cheating.
gotten Tatum so quickly.
That's cheating, though.
Yeah, that's lame.
Yeah.
Okay, well, officially, thank you guys for listening. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. Check out this Jim Kaat interview. Share it with your friends. Share the story of Jim. It was a lot of fun getting to talk to him, and we'll see you guys next week. Also, happy birthday to myself. It's tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Hank.
Thank you. And happy birthday to Mr. Fenster as well today.
My father, yes.
Yes. All right. See you guys.